like to welcome everyone to the Beech Grove High School in 2012-2013 school year. And we are excited about all the changes that are going on here in the high school. We are the obvious changes here in the high school. You can see as you drive in the construction that's going on. We are adding on 3 huge science labs as we try to really expand our applied science concept here as an academic pathway, one of 4 that the state of Indiana has prescribed for all high schools in Indiana. But with the strong science initiative that we have instituted here at the high school, we're really pushing applied science. I think if you've been watching TV lately, you've seen some of the things that we're doing on, I believe Channel 13 was in here not too long ago, filming some of the things that are going on, the exciting things that are going on at Beech Grove High School, as our Board of Trustees and our Superintendent, Dr. Kaiser, really strive to make this a more inclusive school as we try to look for more and more students to build our enrollment and to build on these programs and to help make Beech Grove High School a better place for everyone in the community and now the surrounding communities. We're trying to adapt to new laws and new funding procedures, and this is one way that we hope to do that. We have many, many new staff members who are bringing new and exciting ideas to our students, along with the veteran staff members who continue to do a great job as we continue with our TAP initiative in terms of school assessment and strategies for improving our instruction here at the high school. So that is an obvious thing. What we hope to have ready probably by our first break, which is another new thing. The balanced calendar will be taking a 2-week break in October, and hopefully during that 2-week break we'll be moving furniture and having those labs ready so when the students come back for the second quarter of the school year, they will have some new science equipment and new science facilities to utilize and help expound on their learning a little bit as we move on into the 2012-13 school year. Activity-wise, a lot of the same things, only we think very much improved. We'll start with the band and Mr. Wynn. Under his direction, the band is going to try to build on a second place finish from last year. Early indications are they have a great shot of doing that. The band in the early rehearsals sound very good. I don't know if Mr. Wynn wants to admit that to the kids, but he has told me off the record that things are looking good and they're sounding very good. I don't know an E flat from an F sharp, but I do know what sounds good, and our band is sounding really good right now. Mr. Bush is already making very big preparations for the October musical performance in conjunction with Mr. Bradford, who's already working with the band and is already getting the jupes geared up. And I know you heard them at Back to School Night. They're sounding as good as always. Mr. Bradford, Mr. Bush, and Mr. Wynn always doing an excellent job in the fine arts area. In the athletic department, the athletic fall sports are up and running. Everyone's going good. I don't believe we have any new coaches other than the girls soccer coach in this fall, but we do have, of course, Mr. English now running the athletic department, and he's doing an exceptional job of coordinating all the fall sports as well as working with the boys basketball team as he usually does. So very exciting start to the school year, a lot of new faces, a lot of new things going on. And we are very excited about that, and we look forward to homecoming that is just around the corner. Homecoming this year will be September 14th. I know for all the alums out there, Ms. Zimmerman, I'm sure will be in contact with you, and they will have their usual tent and all the fun and games that go with homecoming game. And I know Mr. Weller is looking forward to having a much improved football squad this year, and we're looking forward to that as well. So those are some of the dates in the near future, and we want to begin the 2012-13 school year with the Alumnus of the Month, and the Renaissance Committee has selected another class member, a classmate, I guess, of 2 we had last year. We're hitting the class of 1981 real hard. And when we had Mr. Iria and Mr. Buccieri last year in, one of the first things they asked me when they were walking through and I was showing them some of the past recipients. They said, well, where's Rick Stamper? And they both said that. He says, and so the answer to their question, Mr. Buccieri and Mr. Iria, if you're watching today, Dr. Stamper is right here with us. So our selection for the month of September 2012, I don't know where we're getting this 19 from, but for 2012 is Dr. Richard Stamper, class of 1981. Dr. Stamper, congratulations, and thank you for coming and visiting with us. Dr. Stamper is a professor at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, and he come to us from Terre Haute. Actually, I believe he is making the second longest trip this year. Don't want to tip our hand on the other 8, but we've got a lot of local people this year, and so he's one of the outsiders, and he's coming from Terre Haute. Class of 1981, well received by your classmates. Talk to us a little bit about the class of 81 and Beech Grove High School, what it was like here in 81. Tell us a little bit about what you recall and some of the things you remember from your high school days.
Oh, probably the most prominent memory is the quality of the teachers. Particularly I think of Jean Campbell and what impact that she had on a group of us. She taught math and physics at that time when it wasn't so common to teach math and physics in a school of this size. And that was a huge advantage for Mike Buccieri, Dan Iria, Mary Jo Hunter, myself, Barry Winton, all folks are in your Hall of Fame, and I think she had a significant impact on the group of us. The other thing I remember is that it was a great peer group. We had some really strong folks go through then, and so it was a fun group.
Yeah, well, I think when we were going through the board, there were 6 or 7 out of your class that we selected because they've gone on and just done some fabulous things. So physics and at that time physics and the calculus
and calculus
were not offered on a regular basis at most schools?
And I believe at that point in time the guidance was that we weren't to offer calculus at Beech Grove High School, and she found a textbook that did not have calculus in the title. It was analytical geometry and applications thereof or something like that, and it had a section of calc at the end, and so she selected that book, and so we actually took analytical geometry, but it was in effect a calculus class and was fabulous for us.
And it created some interest, and it obviously, calculus is a very difficult subject. It requires a lot of work, a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, Ms. Campbell kind of instituted that through the curriculum, through the way she taught. What kinds of things made that class interesting for you?
What made that class work was she was willing to challenge us. She would push us hard, push us harder than what we thought we could withstand, but yet gave us the support and the help to meet those challenges. And so what happened, you'd merge from that, realizing that you could rise and meet the difficult challenges. And then it also became, for the folks that went on to be engineers, calculus is just one of, it's like breathing. I mean, you have to just know calc inside and out, and to go into an engineering program with the confidence in your math and calculus skills was just huge for the group of us that did that. Me, Mike Buccieri, all the folks that went off into engineering. And so I owe a great deal to Miss Campbell.
You graduated in 81, and from Beech Grove High School, you went directly, we talked earlier, you went directly to Rose. You went in as a freshman at Rose.
Yes.
Was there did you consider other options, or was it going to be Rose, or what were you looking to do when you went to Rose? Obviously, you were getting into some type of engineering, but what did you see yourself doing at this point in time, back in 81?
I went to a summer camp there at Rose-Hulman, and I'd encourage, if you have high school kids, to go do those sort of summer experiences so you can get a feel for what's available out there. And it's really eye-opening. And Rose-Hulman, for instance, right now runs a program called Operation Catapult, 3-week residential program where you can get a feel for what it's like to be an engineer and an engineering student and see where that takes you. And so it's, with an investment of just 3 weeks, you can figure out, is this the sort of thing you want to do, as opposed to starting a program and then going, this isn't what I want to do, and then having to back out and start over. But so I went to a summer camp, and it was a 1-week computer camp, loved it, knew that's where I wanted to go to school. I applied to one school only, and that was Rose-Hulman, and it was one of the best choices ever made.
Well, that kind of, you beat me, you answered my next question. It was the right choice. You enjoyed every minute from the day you walked on campus. I mean, you don't enjoy it all, I know that, but from the day you set foot on campus to the day you graduated, obviously, I think, considering where you're headed here, but what kinds of things do you think at Rose were the kinds of things that you really enjoyed? What made Rose work for you?
Some of the same things that makes Beech Grove High School special. The size was such that you had everything you wanted and needed, but it was also small enough to where you could go and explore other options. You could go and, for a person like me who played high school tennis here and was an okay tennis player, you could go play tennis at Rose-Hulman. If you had an interest in music, you could go and perform with the groups there. I was lucky enough to get involved with Residence Hall Life, where I was a resident assistant in one of the residence halls, and had the chance to, the goal there for an RA, a resident assistant, is to help make sure that your peers are successful. And for me, that was a leadership opportunity that I would not have gotten almost any other place, particularly in some large institutions. And so the size and the attention on student success were the things that made it really special for me there.
And you graduated from Rose, obviously, and at that point in time, where did you go from there? We'll just kind of follow that path.
Sure. Went to Procter & Gamble in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and the toilet paper capital of the world, and I ran a automated packing group there. So these were in the early days of robotics, and we took a set of robots and automated packing of Bounty paper towels into cases with these robots, and I worked on that system and put that system into place, and loved my time in Green Bay. Became a Packers fan there. I think we share that interest.
Yes, we do.
And so Green Bay was a wonderful place to live, and although I had a '67 Mustang convertible when I moved there, and I pulled into my apartment, and why is there an outlet in front of my parking spot in the apartment? I found out pretty early in the year when I had to start plugging my car in to get to start in the morning.
Yeah, convertible in Green Bay. That's not seen quite a bit, or not seen much at all.
No.
You don't see many convertibles in Green Bay. You see a lot of great football, though.
Yes.
A lot of great football.
Fabulous place to watch football.
Yeah, Mr. Kraft will probably edit that part out. Green Bay, Procter & Gamble. Right. Did you spend any time in Cincinnati with Procter & Gamble?
No. My entire time was with
totally Green Bay.
Yep. And then decided I wanted to pursue a master's from there, and so I came back to Indiana for that at Purdue, another fabulous school, particularly if you're interested in research, and they have some of the finest research facilities in the world there, and some great researchers, and it was a fabulous place to go spend a couple years pursuing a master's there.
And while at Purdue, did you do any work-related experience, or were you just strictly working on your master's?
Strictly worked on the master's.
Okay. So now we have you with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree,
right.
And where's that going to take you?
From there, I go to General Electric, and with several different positions there. Worked for a little while in upstate New York in the defense business, where we manufactured radars, airborne radars. Left there, went to Motors in Fort Wayne, not far from where you grew up, and then from there went to appliances, and was where I spent the bulk of my time at GE, was designing household refrigerators in Bloomington, Indiana, a great plant there, which a lot of the production is starting to come back. That plant was it was dying off, and there was some thought of closing that, but production's starting to come back, and that plant's doing well again. Spent some time at appliances in Yokohama, Japan. We had a relationship with Toshiba, And at that time frame, we're trying to remove the CFCs from refrigerators because of the ozone issues. Right. And we were curious about how Toshiba was doing it, the largest manufacturer of refrigeration units, home refrigeration in Japan, and they were curious how we were doing it. And so they pulled me on my desk, plopped me down on an engineer's desk at Toshiba, and we just traded desks. So I was the only American in the building, immersed in the entire engineering staff at Toshiba in Yokohama, Japan. And what also made that interesting, I met and married my wife in Bloomington at the time, and so we were married on a Saturday and moved to Japan on a Monday.
that is unique. Did you enjoy the culture of Japan and the Orient? Was that a...
Loved it. Loved working with their engineers there. Have a real affection for the Japanese culture, the Japanese people. We were treated wonderfully, and there was a nice mutual respect between the companies. And I had a wonderful time there. We still, at Rose-Hulman, maintain relationships with some of the Japanese schools, sister schools there. And if you look at the Japanese companies in Indiana, we send a lot of engineers to companies that have Japanese ties or supplies to Japanese companies. And so that's been an important relationship to maintain over the years.
In your position now at Rose, have you made trips over there to work with your sister schools, or is that something that...
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you're...
To train engineers for the current workplace, they need to be able to work just about any place in the world. Engineers now, you're either designing product for somewhere outside the United States, or you're sourcing product from somewhere outside the United States, or you're buying equipment from somewhere else, or you have people wanting to supply here. And so you need to be comfortable in a global environment. And so that's part of what we try to do with our education at Rose-Hulman, is to make students are comfortable with that. And so we'll have projects where students from Japan and students from the US both will work on the same project, and then we'll get together and talk about how that went, or collaborate on those projects. So I've taken students to Kanazawa Institute of Technology now a couple of times. We have some profs that have taken as many as 500, over their span of their career, right. 500 students to Japan. In September, we're going to be celebrating our 20th anniversary with a relationship with the Kanazawa Institute of Technology, which is a school very similar to Rose-Hulman, but in Japan, a small private engineering-focused sort of school. We've had a 20-year collaboration with them now. They're sending 20 administrators and faculty over. We're going to plant 50 cherry trees and have a nice event around that. But it works for us because so many of our students go to companies that have some Japanese tie.
Okay, we kind of jumped. Did you go to Rose from GE? Or are we still
No, we're still
missing a couple.
Still
okay,
missing.
We jumped a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
What happened after the tour in Japan? My wife, who has an engineering undergraduate degree, was working for a phone company, became interested in communications law while she was working as an engineer for the phone company, went and leveraged that engineering degree with a law degree and worked in the communication law field. This was right at the time that cellular phones were taking off and sort of blooming, and she had opportunities in Washington, D.C. that were just too much fun. And so I followed her career. I left GE, followed her career to DC. She said, do whatever you want to do. And being a graduate student, an engineering graduate student, is a lot of fun. Generally, schools paid for. Usually, if you're an engineering graduate student, the school will waive tuition, and typically you're paid some stipend to go to school to work on some problem that's important to someone that's paying for this. You're not paid nearly as much as an engineer. It's pretty much just enough to keep you afloat, but you usually get to, the trade-off is that you get to do really interesting work. And there's a guy there doing, Lungwin Sai, who was doing some really interesting work in robotics, and we hit it off, and so I decided to go do a PhD at University of Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. And so that's when I did the PhD, largely with an opportunity that was provided by following my wife in her career.
And we've got another degree now. And we're in Virginia.
Washington, D.C. We're actually on the Maryland side.
Okay.
We're living in Bethesda at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, what precipitated the next move?
The life of an attorney in a large firm in Washington, D.C. is a hard life. Typically, Ann would bill somewhere in the order of 2,000 to 2,100 hours a year to clients. We wanted to have a family. The time horizon for doing that was ending, and we not sure we wanted to have her working those sort of hours while we raised a family. So she turned to me and said, all right, now it's time for you to go off and earn the living. And that's when I got into teaching. And so with a brief stop teaching at Auburn, Alabama, this opportunity opened up at Rose-Hulman, and so we returned to Rose-Hulman. I've been teaching there now for a little over 14 years.
And what specific area did you teach when you went back to Rose?
Right, mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering,
yes.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and we didn't get a chance to run by. You are the director of the entire staff, as I understand it.
I'm the dean of the faculty.
Dean of the faculty.
An interim dean of the faculty. We had a vacancy open up, and they needed someone to fill that for a year, and so I'm currently the dean of the faculty.
Okay. Now, I know what the dean of students does.
Right.
What kinds of performance functions does the dean of the faculty do?
I work for the faculty. I do what I can do to make them successful. And so we have 174 faculty at Rose-Hulman starting this fall, and my mission in life is to ensure that they can provide the best experience that they can provide to our students. So that means hiring great faculty. That means giving them the facilities that they need, the offices, the lab space, and making sure that they have the training that they need as well, that they can be great teachers. And then also there's all the evaluation of their teaching and making sure that they're getting what they need to supply a fabulous learning experience to our students.
And is that something that's kind of out? Are you maintaining any teaching along with that, or I wouldn't think? I mean, to me that's. I don't know how you could, but I know a lot of people.
Right. I'm teaching one class.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to get it out of your system.
The reason you go into the game is the relationship with the students, and it's from a teacher standpoint. Terre Haute, Indiana, in and of itself, isn't a great draw to the world-class teachers we get, and we pay okay, but it's not fabulous. They can do better in other places. What I have to offer to when I'm trying to attract the world's best teachers to come teach at Rose-Hulman in Terre Haute, Indiana, what I have to offer is this great student body. It is a wonderful group of students, and then a wonderful peer group of faculty who want to teach, and that's what I have to offer them. And so that's what I'm off selling, and to try to get them to come.
Which is not a bad gig.
It is not.
Teacher.
It's if what you want to do is teach engineering, math, and science, there's just no better place to be than Rose-Hulman. You're not going to get famous there. I mean, if you want to, there's other places where your research will get a bit more fame and glory. But if what you want to do is have a great group of students that will work hard and engage you in the classroom, there's just no better place to be.
What type, you've talked about the students here a little bit, what type of student, describe the typical background of when you have your freshman class coming in here before long. Tell us about the typical freshman that's entering your institution this fall.
Sure.
What kinds of things do you look for? What kinds of things do you expect academically, socially, and so forth?
Right. We expect a strong academic credential coming in. So they have outstanding SAT scores. They've had calculus, physics typically. Sometimes they can show up without calculus if their math SAT is strong, and then we'll make sure they succeed. So what we want to make sure is that they have the academic horsepower to succeed, because we really, once they make it in the door, our mission is to make them successful. There's no sense of weeding out. What we want to do is make sure that we set the bar high enough as far as getting in, that if you've got in, it's you have the academic horsepower to pull it off. And so you want to see A's and B's on the report cards, a lot more A's than B's. You want to see a strong SAT score. But the thing that really sets our students apart is work ethic. We generally, as a prof, I'm expecting if I have them for an hour in class, that in my mind, I got an hour and a half, 2 hours of their time that night for homework or studying. And it takes a special student with some special heart to kind of buy into that. But most of our students have that. And you got that work ethic of students that are interested in engineering. We get a lot of kids who grew up on farms and have that work ethic. We also have a number of the high schools. I think many of the high schools are doing really good jobs of preparing students for that on the high end. Mm-hmm. So the GT programs, the accelerator programs, your advanced placement courses, students are doing well. And we try to skim the cream off of that, and the students have demonstrated that they can have the heart and the work ethic to do that.
You talked about the type of student that gets in.
Yeah.
What percentage of your applicants do actually make it into the school?
Yeah, I don't know that number, so I wouldn't want to take a guess at it. The other thing we like, by the way, is creativity. A lot of people, when they think of engineering, they think of it as I happen to be good. I happen to be good at math and science, and I want a safe career bet, and that's where I want to go. The other thing we are excited about are students that are creative and want to solve the world's problems. Engineering gives you opportunities to have an impact on the world that very few other career options have. And getting your math and science chops, it's sort of like the required entry payment. But once you get there, to have the chance to apply that creativity to solve problems is the really rewarding part. So we also look for that in our students, is this creative drive and ability to design and create things.
It's kind of obvious as you're sitting here talking, you're very enthusiastic about your institution. And it's easy to see why you've won a lot of the awards that you have won. I mean, you're a very well respected instructor at Rose, and obviously the elevation, the promotion is evidence to that. We'll step away from Rose for a second, let you kind of broaden. You talked about your wife and your boys a little bit, and I'll let you talk about them a little more in detail now.
Sure.
They light up your eyes too, I see.
Well, my dad's advice was to marry someone smarter than you or myself, and I followed my dad's advice, and that turned out to be really good advice. Fortunately, it wasn't really hard to do that, but and my wife, wonderful partner. We've been coming up, we'll be married 20 years now in a couple of weeks. And our boys are 12 and 14 years old, and they're just delightful. I've been warned that I got difficult teenage years coming up, but so far we don't see any signs of that, and we have a lot of fun together.
And you're all in Terre Haute? You live in Terre Haute, I recall.
Live in Terre Haute, yes.
And what types of interests do they see? Are they inclined to go toward the engineering fields, or are they the science or math, or are they going to branch off into something different?
They both enjoy science and math. My older son also enjoys tennis and sort of embracing that game. It's hard to tell that's one of the nice things about science and math, is that it will, lays a groundwork that can take in a bunch of different directions. My oldest son seems to have some interest in medicine. My younger son, last I heard, he wants to be a farmer. And actually that's stuck for a while now, but he loves animals and biology and zoology, and it's not at all unusual my wife also loves catching critters, and so they'll go off with nets and catch frogs, snakes. Right now in our house, I think I have a praying mantis and a snake are the last two things they caught within the last couple of weeks.
And so do you think, again, we're speculating here, is Rose Holman kind of the the end of the line here? Do you see yourself moving on, or
For me?
Yes, for you.
I can't imagine going anyplace else. I like what I'm doing. I like the mission of the place. There's not many places where you get to serve, where you have such a unity of mission, and you get to do something you like, and you get to serve people. Talking beforehand, I think you get that same sort of feel here, and there's something very rewarding about that. And so as long as Rose-Hulman is that sort of place and that sort of environment, I imagine I'll be there, and I don't see any reason to think that'll change.
Well, I know I've known a few people from Rose-Hulman, and I know they're very, very successful in the area of engineering, and they're also, like you mentioned, their work ethic is outstanding, and they're great people. So, what few people I do know from Rose are great people.
And I should be careful here. I mean, Indiana's blessed with a lot of wonderful schools.
We're
Purdue,
very fortunate.
Notre Dame, DePauw, IU, fabulous schools in the state, and Rose-Hulman is just one of those.
And don't forget Earlham.
Earlham, that's right.
Don't forget Earlham.
Well, there's a bit of a rivalry with us there. What's the name of it? Is it the sword that we fight over between Rose-Hulman and Earlham?
You know what? I forget. I can't recall what it was.
I think there's the broadsword
there was something there.
Yeah, because you played basketball for Earlham.
Yeah, Rose would always get it during football season, and we'd take it back during basketball season. I think that's how that worked. But I know it is a great institution, having visited there. Obviously, I would be one that would never get in there, I'm sure. But it has been a pleasure talking with you. And again, the Renaissance Committee, when we discuss Dr. Stamper, as happens with several people that we talk to with regard to the Renaissance selection process, and a lot of you ask about that, and this might be a good time to talk about that a little bit, but we make our selections in March of every school year, and they are culled from a list of about 150 people. That's what's on the list today. Now, Dr. Stamper's been kind enough to add to that list for us today, but we feel like there's always the time that comes where the committee members look at each other and they say, geez, what took us so long to get this guy? And this was certainly the case with Dr. Stamper. I alluded to why it took so long earlier. I think we were given some bad information there, or I shouldn't say bad, erroneous information. So we are very proud to have Dr. Stamper in our Alumni Hall of Fame, and we're looking forward to having more people in the same line of work and doing some of the same things that he's doing. And I'm not sure we have any Rose-Hulman products, but we have some people who are in the engineering field, in the chemistry field, and I think you'll see as we go through the 2012-13 school year that science will be a ongoing theme. We have a lot of scientists here, and we have a great one to start the school year off, Dr. Richard Stamper from the class of 1981. Again, congratulations, and thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We've really enjoyed it, and again, we look forward to seeing you again in October for another Alumnus of the Month and another episode of the Hornet Spotlight, when we'll bring another alum. Actually, at this point in time, I couldn't even give you a hint, couldn't even give you a tease on who it's going to be or what area they're coming from, because we haven't actually contacted that person yet. So please stay tuned. We'll obviously update when we come back in October. We'll be updating the fall sports. We'll have updates on band, choir, drama, all the things that make Beech Grove very special. And again, congratulations. Dr. Stamper obviously is one of them who has made this place a very special place with a long tradition of academic excellence. So let's not forget that as well. So have a great month of September, and we'll see you again next month on the Hornet Spotlight.